Alright guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody's doing well today. Shout out to all the subscribers and big up to anybody new locked in. Gratitude to everybody. Let's talk about Return of the King. I'll talk about why I labeled it the thumbnail that in a little bit, but essentially Anthony Joshua is now the challenger fighting for the IBF heavyweight title, which will be in September the 21st. And Daniel Dubois got elevated as champion after Usyk relinquished the belt, the IBF belt. So interesting stuff, okay? Daniel Dubois coming off what you could argue is a career best performance against Filip Hrgović, which I actually picked Dubois to win that fight. I didn't make a video about it. I didn't really know enough about the rest of the card. I like to make videos when I really have a lot of details about all the fights instead of just doing it, you know? So I pulled back on the actual doing a video for the whole lot, but I was sneaky thinking, I was like, Dubois is going to be a bit much for Hrgović. I've never been that impressed with Filip Hrgović, and I thought the pressure, the power, the tenacity would really get to him. And when Hrgović looks like, you know, he's just not into it, he's not into it, you know, like he did again in the Zhang fight. I know he had some family, you know, trauma going on then, but I've just never felt like he's really in boxing like that. And when the tough gets going, you know, I thought like Dubois would get him out of there, to be honest with you, and he did. And even in like the third or fourth round, Hrgović looked completely exhausted. But anyway, that's a separate, you know, discussion. But AJ is, you know, he's on the ascendancy really. I think he's taking this time out, and actually, I'll talk about the Return of the King because it is a thumbnail that I actually made about a year, just over a year ago. I'll try and find the exact date, but I was one of the few people really that was backing AJ to come back when he was down in the dumps, and the majority of, I said one of the few, there was probably quite a few others, but a vast majority of people were writing him off. And I wasn't one of those people because I just saw a desire in his eyes, and I saw the hunger in his heart, you know, and the dedication he wanted to do to try to learn a bit more about the sport and learn a bit more about himself. You know, he did a lot of searching, and I really respected that. And I followed it quite hard, and I was like, man, he really wants to come back. He's really trying to do these things, going from different trainers, going to America. I know some people might say, well, you know, too many chefs in the kitchen, but you can also get bits from those chefs as you go along, you know. And I think he's done that. I think he's learned a little bit from each. Maybe not the Robert Garcia, but Derek James. I think he's learned a bit of that, and I think he's got whatever he learned there in the back pocket. If he really wants to box a very cautious fight, which isn't him, he can for a bit. You know, you have to bring out multiple styles at the highest level, and I think he's gotten a lot smarter. And I think this is going to be the difference in the Dubois fight. I think his IQ in boxing is like a fine wine, you know, like, you know, I don't think Dubois is a particularly intelligent fighter, but like, I think, you know, AJ, with the time off and just the reflection and just his, you know, just his dedication to be more of a boxer and be more intelligent. He's always said he wants to be a slick boxer, but I think just being a boxer and thinking more of a thinking fighter. I know he's got this, you know, an innate animalistic power side to him as well, but it's all about balance. And I think when Ben Davison is getting the best out of him, and less is more type approach, but also trying to get him to be his true identity. So I think his true identity is being a powerful boxer, but doing it in the right moment, but think a bit more, and then use your you know, raw athleticism too. And it's just his natural talent. He's extremely talented, and that's what got him to where he was in the first place. And you know, he just came in through the gates knocking everybody out, and he didn't really think his way through fights anywhere near as much as what I think he probably will start to do, at least what he's been doing. I know he hasn't looked spectacular. A lot of people, I didn't criticize him so bad against Jermaine Franklin. I thought it was part of the process. I thought, you know, yeah, he didn't look ultra confident, but he still won that fight quite easily. 9 rounds to 3, maybe 10-2. Same with Hellenius, but you know, getting caught with some clean jabs and stuff like that. But then after he gets the stoppage, he gets a highlight reel knockout. So whatever you saw in that fight, the KO, and we saw how jubilated he was, you know, after the KO. That's just natural confidence. So whatever he looked like, and then put that to bed, and he's moving on, and that confidence will build, and then he'll just get better. And then obviously the Ngannou fight, keep adding to that, and that's how you build these confidence. And he's looking more, has a more educated jab. I think you're going to see that. I think that's going to be a massive difference in this fight. I think his poise and his approach and his IQ and his educated jab is probably going to be enough to get Dubois out of there, to be honest with you, in the middle rounds. I think he's going to brutally stop Dubois. And will he be the king then? I don't know, but will he? Obviously, he'll be in line to fight the Usyk Fury 2 if that fight does go ahead. Obviously, a lot of skepticism about Tyson Fury, and AJ's had a couple of things to say, and I actually stand with him on that. You know, he's just called out Fury for what he is, really. You know, he's bad for the sport and the way he's done it, and he said he's got what he deserved at the end of the day. And AJ's, I like it because he's like, I'm not competing with anybody. He's competing with himself, and that's one of the reasons I was so high on him coming back. I just saw that mentality of like, even funny little things like going in that dark room or whatever he did. Like, this is him trying to test himself and trying to get the best out of himself. I truly believe that, and I've got a lot of respect for that, and I really wish him well, because I think he. You know, I think he could, like, with his talent, you know, he just gets to get his mind straight and get his, you know, confidence back, which he's doing. And he's you know, obviously, this will be a big test for him. This will be his biggest challenge since, probably since the Ruiz fight, right? I'd say. Dubois, very, very live. I don't know if he's the underdog, but he'll be a live, dangerous threat. He's a very powerful guy, but he doesn't really think anywhere near as much as he should. You know, he just feels like he just thinks offense, offense, offense. He's got a very, I don't like how wide his guard is. I don't like how clean he gets hit, but he was getting caught with some massive shots from Filip Hrgović, and just there wasn't really adjustments. He doesn't really move his head. You know, he just thinks, come forward and bang. You know, which is like, you know, it serves a purpose, but at a higher level. When you do have somebody that can neutralize you with the good jab, which I think AJ's jab has gotten a lot better, used more educated. That's the thinking side to him. I think, you know, I think he's going to have a hard time with AJ. There's not to say that he couldn't, you know, do some damage or make it interesting or even win. But I'm picking AJ quite a clear winner, decisive win, for controlling him with his beautiful jab and then getting him out there with the right hand, kind of like he did with Ngannou. Not the same sort of format, but like a powerful, devastating right hand, because that technique is just something else. I mean, his technique, the way it's just beautiful. And he was jabbing downstairs, jabbing upstairs. This is what I'm talking about with an educated jab. I don't think Dubois is going to be ready for that. And there's so much space downstairs. I'm surprised, like, well, I say I'm surprised. I'd be surprised if they didn't bring that into some kind of game plan with Ben Davison, because he was saying Dubois has, you know, advantages they can take advantage of and weaknesses they can take advantage of. And I'm wondering if his aggression is something they're going to take advantage of. The lack of head movement, the lack of intelligence. He's not very patient, Dubois, you know. He just wants to come in and let his hands go, which is great, you know, to some degree. You can really get away with it sometimes, as he has done. Overpower guys. And, you know, he can take a shot too. But the whole card itself is pretty good. You know, I heard like, you know, a lot of people saying that it's an amazing card, and I was like, really hadn't read about it at all. And then when I went to look, I was like, it's all right. It's not that good, but there are some good cards on it. Don't get me wrong, but I was expecting like 3 or 4 world title fights and against great matchups. But you got Hamza Shiraz against that guy. I haven't even seen him fight. He's from the UK, Denny something. And then you got Liam Smith against Josh Kelly. Weird fight at 160. I don't know how good of a fight that is because of how bad Liam Smith looked. And Josh Kelly's not a middleweight, really. So then you have Joshua Buatsi against Hutchinson. That's a pretty good fight. And then there's one or two more. Maybe I'll do a separate video closer to the time. But this is really about Dubois and AJ, the return of the king. I'm still, like, I wasn't all the way sold that he would be back at a world champion, just to be clear. But I was confident he would be right back at the top. And here he is, on the verge of being a 3-time world champion. And I wish him well. Fight breakdown to come closer to the date. Thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone's well. Have a great week. Peace and love. I'm out.